Hi, everyone, and welcome to Let's Get Visible, a podcast for small business owners, helping them to grow, have a sustainable business, and get more visibility online. I'm Dawes Brown, and I'll be bringing you SEO and digital marketing tips, as well as interviews and conversations with other small business owners. So, let's get started. So today I'm joined by Bianca Carlino, one of the co-founders of Glow and Gifts, a custom gift box business based in Sydney. The idea of curating beautiful gifts for people and businesses across Australia came from a personal experience that Bianca knew would touch the many hearts when the time came to share the story. Wanting to share the love near and far became Glow and Gifts' mission, and each decision made within the business always circles back to that initial why. Some fun facts about Bianca: she's a sunshine seeker, rosé drinker, and a travel lover. So without further ado, welcome to the Let's Get Visible podcast, Bianca. Yay!
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you on here as well. So as you know, there are going to be a couple of questions that we'll be touching on today as part of our catch up and our discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really just there for us as a bit of a roadmap because, as you know, I like to talk and not take a breath. And so this allows you the opportunity to really, show us and explain to us your business journey and your experiences.
Wonderful.
So I am really excited about this catch up because one of the ways in which you and I initially connected was on Instagram.
Yes.
And it was over tacos and nachos and Mexican food.
It was, I know. Oh my goodness. Nothing to do with either of our businesses,
Nothing.
But making connections nonetheless.
Absolutely. And I love that we were able to connect in such a way. And from that moment, I was just like, we are on the same wavelength. Even though our businesses do different things, but
yeah,
definitely that aha moment. Hey, we've got something in common that we both love and enjoy. And it was from that we began our little small business relationship. And that's why I thought, who else to have on as my guest today than Bianca from Glow and Gifts. So to kick off with our questions that we have, the first one is about your business journey. So why did you decide to launch and co-found Glow and Gifts?
Yeah, totally. So like you mentioned in the intro, it is a story that I think will touch a lot of hearts, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So for those that don't know, it was back in 2016. I had a very good friend of mine who was going overseas kind of indefinitely at the time, and she was like one of my best friends, and I was like, how do I say goodbye to you? Like, you're literally going to be on the other side of the world. And that was really hard for me, even though I knew how amazing of an opportunity it was going to be for her. And I'd always been good at giving gifts. So I figured I'm going to put together a gift box. Actually, I think it was a gift bag at the time, because I can't wrap presents. So that's why everything goes into a box at the moment. So anyways, I knew, like, she was my best friend, so I knew her pretty well. And what I did was I went out to different retail stores or online shopping as well. And I went and purchased a whole bunch of different goodies that were specific for her. So I had like a water bottle with an S on it because her name started with S. I got her socks with cats on them because she's like a huge fan of cats.
Love it.
She's got super fair skin, so I got her sunscreen because she was going over to Europe in the summer. All of these different things. And then I put it all together. But what I actually did was, because I knew why I was getting these things for her, and she would have known as well, but I actually went and got a bunch of Post-it notes. And I wrote on each Post-it note why I got her what I got her. So there was like, well, here's the sunscreen because I don't want you to get sunburnt. And here's a water bottle with your name on it so you know that it's yours and you stay hydrated. And here are the socks so that your feet stay warm on the plane. and so on and so forth. So I did that for all of the things. And then I gave it to her, wrote a really sweet note, and then told her to open it when she got to the airport and was ready to head off on her journey.
Oh my goodness,
And
I'm welling up. I'm actually welling up. That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So that was kind of the story. And then she was at the airport, opened the gift and was like, oh my gosh, how did you know? And I was like, well, you're my best friend. Of course I know you. Like, if not, what have I been doing for 15 years? Like, so yeah, all of the things. And I was like, well, there you go. Like, and for me, it was nothing, you know, like I was just trying to say goodbye or see you soon to someone who had been in my life forever through the thick and thin. And anyway, so that happened. And then I was at my full-time job with my business partner, Chanel, who we worked together. And then I was just kind of telling her the story of what happened. And she was like, oh, well, that's good. Like, you're always really good at giving gifts. Like, that's such a sweet idea, et cetera, et cetera. And then, I don't know, we kind of just kept talking about it. And she was like, why don't you do this full time? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, and for me, I was like, not in it for the money, really. I just did it because she was my best friend and like, why not? And then anyway, so after about, honestly, I think it would have been a solid 6 to 9 months of just talking about it with Chanel, that we decided to bite the bullet and go into it together. And joined up, and it all started from that.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. My mascara is running, my eyes are burning. Oh my goodness, I love that personal touch, and really, you know, something that you'll never forget. I think it's going to leave that lasting memory. You know, the trip would have been fantastic going to Europe, of course, but I think just that initial moment of even jumping on the plane and opening this gift and seeing all the notes got me.
Yeah.
The notes have really got me, because I think that's, you know, gifts are just things, but when they have, I guess, that meaning behind them, they're then not just the things, as you said.
Exactly.
They become really personal. And, you know, I'm sure when she even looked at a pair of socks or looked at her water bottle, that the first thing she would think of is you.
Yeah, and like that wasn't necessarily, like, yeah, that was a little bit part of it, but not necessarily, you know, I really wanted to find a unique way that I could say, not goodbye, but see you soon. Yeah, and I'm going to miss you. Like, my best friend is going to be on the other side of the world. Like, I can't wake up and call her in the morning because she's probably going to be asleep or out partying in Europe, in, like, you know, on some Greek island somewhere. Like,
living it up with that rosé.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
I love it. And so, since launching the business, what would you say have been the 3 biggest challenges that you've faced as a small business owner, and just some of the things that you've done to try and overcome those challenges?
Yeah, totally. So I've got a couple here. I think firstly, marketing was definitely a challenge. I think when we launched in 2017, it was a time where Instagram was already pretty established, as was Facebook. At the time, we weren't really feeling LinkedIn, a little bit more so now, but definitely not at that time. And then because we went straight into e-commerce, so we've never had a retail space, although that is a dream. So we went straight into e-commerce, which doesn't have that face-to-face aspect, I suppose, that our retail space would. So definitely marketing to people was a struggle at that time. What we started doing was going to local markets, just as a simple point of A, being able to meet local people, and then B, letting them have the opportunity to meet the face behind the brand, because you don't get that on e-commerce, right?
You don't.
So yeah, that was definitely a struggle early on, and even still now, like, we still battle, and especially given everything that's going on at the moment, it's kind of turned the tables a little bit further.
Yes.
But yeah, I think just staying relevant and really believing in your product, and you will find your tribe. It may take some time to get there, and you may have to tweak and you know, pivot, so they like to say at the moment.
Yes.
You may have to, exactly, yeah, that's exactly right. And you will have to do that along the way, but I think It's going through what doesn't work to find what really does. And then when you do find it, you just double down and you keep going at it as best you can.
Love it.
Yeah. Which kind of leads me into my next point of having such an increased competition within our space, because it has, I mean, at the time when we launched, there were definitely gift box businesses out there. I mean, I'm certainly not going to sit here and say we were the first ones to come up with it, because we definitely were not. But we did believe that our product was different to what else was out there, especially at that time. And obviously over the last 2.5, coming up to 3 years, there's been so much more growth in our space as well, with so many more businesses launching, which is amazing to see that people are giving it a go. Like, it makes me so happy that people are trying, whether it's a side hustle or they are, it is their full-time gig. Like, that's amazing. But yeah, definitely the increased competition, which I think goes back to where I said in marketing, to really believe in your product and believe that what you have is somewhat different to your competition, and it will make you stand out. And that's the thing, if you know your point of difference, like that's where you shine. So
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And the world is huge, and I really want people to know that there is space for everyone. There is definitely space for everyone. There's not one music producer in the world, and look how much music there is.
Exactly. And it's the same with t-shirts and clothes and CDs.
Yeah.
Well, CDs, I'm showing my age now, but like, exactly. Just because there's one person, releasing a pop song or a single, it doesn't mean that there can't be anyone else to join that market and do another pop song, but their voice is going to be different. The type of song that they're singing is going to be different. The story behind the song is going to be different. The way, I guess, they look and present themselves is going to be different. So
exactly, there are so many different factors that come into it that I think people really need to believe that it's, and also if you are a business owner and you see someone else coming into your market, like, you don't need to be threatened by that, because there are like I say, there is so much space for everyone in every industry right now, because every industry is saturated, especially at the moment. Yes. And you just need to push through it and believe in your product, and consistency is key, and consistency is what's going to get you through to the other side.
Absolutely. And this is a quote that I have moments when I'm either about to go to sleep or 1 a.m. or having a shower or in the bathroom. Sorry if that's like TMI, but I get these little thought, like, sparks. And one was, if there isn't anyone in the market doing what you're doing, there is no market.
Yep, that's true.
So if it's like no one else is there and no one else has a gift box business, or no one else is doing digital marketing, or no one else is doing SEO, it's usually because there isn't a need for that, product or that service. So I agree wholeheartedly with you. I think it's, great. And digital marketing is definitely one of those areas that's completely saturated, but not everyone is going to have the same perspective or thought process or experiences. So each of those elements bring, forward something different for that particular client, that particular campaign, whatever it is that we're working on.
That's exactly
and I think, that's the beauty of it. And the other thing is that what I've learned in my 42 odd years of being on the planet is there will be people that like you and there will be people that don't like you, and that's okay, because that's when you find out.
Amen.
Amen. And that's when you know, that, hey, the people that, want to sit on my bus, want that ticket, want to be part of what I'm doing and part of what I'm creating, they're the people that we need to help and support and be there for. And there's other people that will match up well with the ones that don't take a ticket to sit on your bus.
That's exactly right.
So, having that competition out there just means that there is something out there for each of us. And if I'm not your cup of tea, that's okay. Like, I'm totally cool with that now. Once upon a time, it used to, I used to question that and go, but why? But now I go, that's cool. That's your decision. That's your perspective. Totally just do what is right for you. And that's what I always say to potential, clients as well, that this is the information, this is how I can support you. But you know what? Take some time to make this decision and think about it. You're not, on the spot. I don't need to know at this, particular moment, because it needs to work and you need to be on that same page, and it's a two-way street as well. So
yeah, definitely. And I think going back to your point of not needing to please everyone is so important to remember, especially for those starting out in business. If you've only just launched or are thinking of launching a business, you don't need to please everyone. And trying to please everyone is going to be the fastest way that you end up unhappy.
Yes.
And you won't want to do whatever it is that you are trying to do. So so please, to anyone out there that is in the early stages, or even if you're not in the early stages and it's just still something that gets to you, try to let it not get to you, because it, like I say, it's going to be a very fast way to being unhappy.
Absolutely. And I've now done a couple of podcast interviews which are going to be released, in the coming weeks and months. And that's a common thing that's come up with each person that I've spoken with, is sometimes we try to be that everything for everybody. So we need to be offering social media. We need to be offering Google AdWords. We need to be offering organic. And it's like, it becomes something that you don't necessarily want to be part of anymore, because you're stuck in this state of overwhelm. You may not have the capacity, to then cater for all those things, but then you're feeling pretty crap about yourself because you feel like you're not managing it all. Whereas if you just pick, that one thing that you're really, really good at and that you absolutely love to do, that's going to shine through everything that you produce, even from a marketing perspective, whether you do videos, whether you do blog posts, whether you do, Instagram posts, or if you're on Facebook. It's really going to come through when you love something versus you trying to do something because you're like, oh, well, I have to, be the people pleaser. I have to give the people what they want. But it's more about, as you said, dialing into what actually lights you up and makes you happy. And if there's something within your business right now that's not doing that for you, maybe that's a question mark that you need to revisit and restructure things, to ensure that what you're doing is actually something you love to do.
Exactly. And I think a lot of the time people try to overcomplicate it.
Yes.
And think like it can't. They're like, well, I can't just focus on Instagram, and I can't just focus on my email marketing because it can't be that simple. I'm like, but why can't it be that simple? Exactly. Why do you have to be good at all the different platforms that are out there when you could be amazing at 2 or 3 of them? And if that's what's working for you, then keep it. If that's what's working for you,
absolutely.
But don't overwhelm yourself, like you said, trying to get your head around the 25 million different social media platforms that are out there, because I mean, for starters, it's very unlikely that you're going to have an audience in all of those different platforms. Your tribe, you will find that will be in a particular place, and then that's where you want to focus in on. But yeah, 100%. Because I know early on we were like, okay, so we need to have an Instagram page, and we need to have a Facebook page, and then we also need to have constant emails going out to our database, and then we also need to have a LinkedIn, and we need to have this, and should we be on YouTube? Like all of the different things. I'm like, no. We don't need all of these things. So, and maybe if we were a little bit bigger and we had a full team behind us, or someone that could just be dedicated to marketing, maybe we would expand a little. 100%. But when you're in a partnership like we are, or if you're doing it on your own, you're only one person.
Exactly.
And there's only so much time in the day. And I think people really need to remember to just bring it back and focus on your 2 or 3 things and nail it.
Love it. And the other thing is following fads. That's one of my, pet peeves, but people kind of jumping on a bandwagon because, but that's what everyone else is doing. But they're not necessarily look at the return of investment of the time that they're actually going to spend in doing that thing or learning that thing. But everyone else is doing it. And it's like, well, because it's new and it's shiny and it's that, little toy that you want to start to play with, my recommendation would be let it, be in the market, see what's happening with it. Because most of the times, the things that are going to work are things that have been tried and tested over a long period of time.
Yep.
And so when we just jump on that kind of new shiny toy bandwagon, what we're doing is we're investing our time, which as a small business owner, like you guys, that's one of the things I don't have a lot of. I don't have a massive budget for marketing, and I don't have a lot of time because I'm wearing many hats within my business. One day I'm the customer service, person. The next day I'm looking at SEO campaigns. The next day I'm coaching someone, etc., etc.
In the meantime, you're also trying to be mum as well. So.
Yeah, and I'm trying to eat and remembering to sleep and doing all of those wonderful things. So that would be, my, recommendation is that if something brand new and shiny comes onto the market of marketing, that didn't come out quite clearly, but if something comes out onto the market that's nice and shiny, have a look at, I guess, what the benefits and what the return of investment is going to be. Not just dollar signs, but of your time, because time is something that we can never get back. Once this minute has passed, we're on to the next minute and the next minute, and we just can't get that time back. So, as you said, instead of focusing on all the things, let's look at the things that have actually worked. And if we're looking to jump on and play with that new shiny toy, give it a little bit of time. See how it's working for other people, because sometimes, believe it or not, even, the bigger platforms and businesses, don't always get it right. Like they might launch a new product feature and it may fall completely flat because it hasn't really hit the mark, with their audience and who it is that they're trying to, connect with and so forth. So don't worry about the shiny toys. As you said, Bianca, go and have a look at the things that are working. 2 or 3 things. If you put your effort, your energy, your time, and your focus on those things, they will work. This is the other thing. They will
100%.
work.
And I think another thing to remember is it will work, but it won't work straight away.
Yes.
It will take time. It's not going to, everyone's like, okay, so I'm going to launch this and I posted this, but nothing came of it. I'm like, well, nothing's going to happen at the time. You need to manifest these things and it's going to take time. You may not see the return on that investment for a couple of months down the track, but if you delay it and you don't do anything for those couple of months, well, then you just delayed your return on investment even further. So you need to be putting in the effort and putting in the work long before you even think you're going to see any return anyway. But you need to stick with it and you need to be, like I said, consistent.
Yes.
And that's going to get back to you.
That's key. And another quote, if you don't mind me popping this in.
Oh, go ahead.
So relevant to this conversation. And it was something I shared on Instagram. I think it was on Sunday. And it was, the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. And oh my goodness, so many people were just like, I feel this. I'm really feeling this because, we've, absolutely put things into place. But even with SEO, what you do today, you're not going to see those results tomorrow. And unless you are consistent, that C word is critical. But consistency is key. You cannot show up for your people and your audience 1 week, disappear for the next 3 weeks, and then come back, in the 5th or 6th week and go, where did everyone go? Exactly. Because there's going to be other competitors that come on the market, other things that are going to then take their interest. So you've got to make sure that you're always top of mind, but you're building that connection, not just attracting people, because attracting doesn't, they lead to lots of likes and lots of emojis, but when you're looking in your bank account, they're not converting.
That's exactly right. And I think you and I are a good example of this because, like you said at the start of our podcast, we connected over something that had nothing to do with either of our businesses. It was food. So something that has nothing to do with anything that either of us do, just a common interest is what built a real connection. And here we are doing a podcast.
Exactly. Love it. Absolutely love it. So in hindsight, is there anything that you would do differently and why?
I would have probably experimented a little bit more and kind of not felt like I was in some kind of a boundary, I think. Or just try the same things at maybe different angles, I think. like I say, we did try a lot of the different social media platforms before we found the couple that we liked to be a part of, and found were working with us. But I think maybe just a few different things, and even in terms of networking as well, trying to go to more in-person events and things like that, just to so that people really could see the face behind the brand. I think that's an important part. Whereas we at the time had, like I said, we were going to local markets and things like that. So that was great as well, because you're getting to see and meet people in a very relaxed environment where there's no pressure, as opposed to going to a networking event where everyone's like, oh, but like I want to pitch my idea, but like I don't want to, because like that's not how you really like connect with someone. We need to have like a real conversation first, and like everyone's like super caught up and not really sure what's going on, but they don't realize that every other person in the room feels exactly the same way.
Yes.
So yeah,
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, we've all been there. Like, if you haven't made a few blunders along the way, then have you really tried?
That's it.
But yeah, so I definitely think like probably just experimenting a little bit more, and even in terms of our products and things like that, what we brought on. So I was actually going through a scroll back through our Instagram page, and even through old images just on my camera roll on my phone, of like the gift boxes that we had when we very first launched, and I was like, goodness me, like did we actually sell these? And like they've just like we've just changed and grown so much in the last few years that I mean, if you don't like make a few fails along the way, then I don't think you really learn anything at all. So they're definitely lessons that you can learn from, and I think as long as you are learning from them and you find ways to keep moving forward, then all the better to you.
Absolutely. And again, you've really highlighted an important point here. And I love that you went back through photos and you found where it first began, because I feel like that about my first website. So even though I've been in this space for over 8 years, I, constantly am looking at growing as a business owner, not so much, teams or anything like that, but growing in what have I learned? What can I apply? What can I do better? Each and every day, how can I be a better version of what I was and who I was the day before? So my real competition at the end of the day is me. That's who I'm competing with, the different versions that have come to be. And I've done the same thing. So I'll scroll through photos, I'll go through different web updates that I've done, to my website, and I just sit there and like do this face palm, and I just go, oh my goodness, was that really what was on there? But it actually shows how far you've come. And
100%. And I think like in terms of that, that's where it's really good to go back and to reflect, because you're like, wow, like that, I can't believe that that's what things were like when I very first launched, or when I, press publish on that website. But like, that's pretty like amazing to see, because now that
look how far you've come.
Exactly. You're like, oh, well, something's gone right along the way, because you keep making that progress towards being better.
Yes. And evolving, constantly evolving. So my website's going through another update yet again in the next couple of weeks. And I can't wait to see it, because I feel like I've changed and grown and, evolved into other things now as I've gone through my own business journey over the last 3 years. And I think if, as you said, if it's exactly the same as the day you started, if there've been no updates or revisions or changes, then what is it that you've learned or I guess done along the way? So they reaffirm that you are headed, I think, in the right direction and doing something, positive and good, and change can be, a good thing. Doesn't have to be a bad thing. So
100%. And I saw a good quote the other day that had said, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of whatever it is that you released, you waited too long. Yes. And I think that was just amazing to see. And if you are a business owner or an almost business owner, keep that in mind, because if you're waiting for something to be perfect before you release it to the world, it's never going to be perfect, and secondly, you're waiting too long, and you need to just like press the button and release it.
Absolutely. I'm one of those people that likes to get it right and get it perfect, but time sometimes doesn't allow for that, and when you keep holding it back, the thing is, once you launch and release it, there's going to be changes to it regardless, because you're going to put it out into the market. Your audience is going to tell you the bits of it that that they like, the bits that they don't like. And so that'll then help you create a better service or a better product. And then that's a win-win again. So
yep, 100%.
Love that quote. No, that's awesome. So going back to the platform of Instagram, which is where we met, it's such a special place for you and
yes.
I. But when it comes to networking online, what do you, I guess, really want to get out of being on those particular social profiles, and how has it helped your business to become more visible online, which is obviously the name of this podcast with Let's Get Visible. So that visibility component is definitely, incredibly important for businesses of all sizes, but particularly small business too, because that's how we, grow and be sustainable and remain here, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I think, especially, like you say, especially small business owners, you are literally one click away from your customer at any given time. You may need to tweak and, diversify which of those buttons you're pressing along the way, but you are so close to your customer, especially at the moment, given everything that's going on. So many more people are spending time online, that now is the time to constantly be producing that content and putting the content out there, because people are they are out there and they want to buy your product. The thing is, I think another good thing to remember is that people want to buy, but they don't want to be sold to.
Yes.
So I think an important thing to remember on the social platforms, Instagram especially, is to not constantly be selling, and I think it goes back to how we even connected in the first place, had nothing to do with our businesses. And it's, people think that they can only share things to do with their business, but people get, people connect with, firstly, other humans. They're going to
people.
Exactly. They're going to connect with you as a person before they connect with your product.
Yes.
So you need to show that human side of you. You need to show things about yourself and not be afraid to do so.
Yes.
I know for me especially, it has taken me 2.5 years before I did a video of myself, of my face, and put it on Instagram stories. Now, our engagement went through the roof. Stories.
Right? Yeah.
And I was like, okay, apparently people want to know about me. I'm like, well, yeah, of course they want to, because it's you as a person, not you as your product.
Yes.
So that's, in hindsight as well, going back to that, that's definitely something I would have started a long time ago as well, sharing me personal a little bit more on social media. But yeah, definitely on Instagram, I think people need to remember that personal side is where people connect with, and not being afraid to show that.
Yep, absolutely. And is there anything else specifically on that platform that you think would be helpful for small business owners to know? Maybe it's to do with, I guess, the timing of when they share that content or information, or...
Yeah, totally. Use your insights.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a Instagram business profile, use your insights, because they're going to be key to when are your key times to be posting, when are your customers or when are your followers online the most, and you're going to get so much information from your insights. And if you, again, follow that and you go, okay, well, maybe Mondays aren't a great day for me to post, so I know that I can have Mondays off, but Thursdays at 6 p.m. everyone seems to be online, so let's post then, because that's when they're going to be online and be
more... It's usually payday.
Yeah, well, there you go. And then they're all online shopping anyway.
That's it. Yeah.
So I think definitely using your insights if you are on an Instagram business account, and then finding your little tribe. Use the hashtags. You can use 30 hashtags in a post, so use your hashtags and really get specific with them as well to find your little tribe. And again, they're not gonna come tomorrow, but over time they're going to be there, and they're going to be like, oh, I actually really like what this business does, and I like the person behind this business, and they're going to grow with you, they're going to connect with you, and then over time they're going to become a customer or a part of your little tribe, and they'll stay with you and they'll want to see you win.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, again, so many gold nuggets and important points in that. I find exactly the same, going back to your data, making sure that you're seeing what information is there at your fingertips. Because if you're posting, for the sake of posting and you're really not looking at that information, it's not going to connect. It's not going to resonate. And you're going to feel like it's not working, which is something that I hear often. Oh, but Dawes, it's not working. And it's like, okay, what is it that you're basing, that analysis of it's not working on? So are you going back, looking through the data, looking through the information? Because that's key to changing the direction of your bus. If you're jumping in the driver's seat of a Monday, as you said, and then no one is, buying any tickets on Mondays, well, then use that time to do something else effectively rather than spend it on, a day and a post, just for the sake of posting.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and that's an important thing as well, is if you're doing it for the sake of doing it, really just don't do it at all.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it at all. Save it for when there's like a quality,
reason,
quality behind it. 100%. Whether that's like you're explaining how your product or service works, or you're updating people about something that's going on in your business, or a new product or service that's going on, whatever it is, don't post it just for the sake of posting it.
And I think a lot of us get caught up in that. And I think we get caught up in, but such and such is posting every single day. And, I'm looking at other competitors and they're doing it every day. And it's the same with posting things like blogs on your website. If you don't have something of actual purpose or relevance or a strategy behind the content that you're developing. So who is your audience? Who are you speaking to, and how is this information or content going to help them? It's not about just looking at that content calendar and going, oops, we haven't posted something in a little while, so we need to pop something on there to show that we're still alive. We are so inundated, and I think, saturated, and I know we've used that word a couple of times, with all the content and information that I know myself as an online user and as a customer. I'm starting to really look at this stuff and go, I've seen it all before. There is nothing new here. There is nothing exciting here. It's the ones that I've made the connection with that I love, I enjoy, and I'm anticipating what they're going to share, because I know it's an opportunity for us to have a little chat, have a little conversation, have a giggle. But it's also that connection. And then it's me going, oh, actually, I really need, that pair of socks, or that candle, or whatever it is that I've seen. But it's really important, because there's so much in our feeds. We're becoming almost like numb to it. And you've got to be pretty damn sensational now for me to go, oh yeah, you're someone that I'd really love to connect with and follow, because I feel like my brain just can't take anymore. All the pictures tend to look the same. Unless it's something that's really sparking a thought within me, or a feeling within me, or it's someone, as I said, within our tribe, and so we see them post and I'm like, oh my God, I really love that, or want to support them, because I know the message and the mission behind what it is they're doing, and they're not doing it for the sake of just doing it.
Exactly.
Which is a long-winded point and way to say what you said so beautifully and eloquently. But it's most definitely, we need to move away from, but we've got this content calendar and we need to be posting, every single day of the month, twice a day. Great for being consistent, but if it's thin on value, people are going to see right through that, and you're better off keeping, one or two really good, valuable things that are going to be helpful, useful, make that connection, because that's going to then make the difference to grow and build your following and the people that want to connect with you. So
100%. And that's like you say, when you mentioned like getting to the point of you anticipate when a particular person or business is going to release something, or post their content. Again, that doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to follow someone one day and be like, okay, well, now I need to see what they're doing every single day. It's a matter of building that connection and growing the relationship. that
Yes.
over time, now you're like, oh my gosh, they're part of my tribe, and I
Yeah.
haven't heard from them in a few days, and like maybe now
Yes.
I'll message them in Instagram DMs and be like, hey, are you all good? Like, we haven't seen
Yes.
from you from a while. And
Yeah.
that's such a, like, it's a much more personal touch on building those relationships, and that's what's going to get you a lot further in your business journey, I believe.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, and I'm the same. When I haven't seen someone post in a little while, that's exactly what I do. I send them a message and go, hey, I'm missing you. Where are your posts? Are you okay? Like, is there anything, that you need or that I can do? Like, is everything cool? Because, yeah, you become, attached, like you're part
Yeah.
of the family. So when they disappear, it's kind of like, oh, what's happening here? And most times they're totally fine. They're usually building or creating something else that's going to be, awesome.
Yeah.
And they've just have to use that time to do that.
Yeah.
I know with myself, like I've kind of stayed off social this week because of different things, that are happening within my business.
Yeah.
But yeah, like your tribe will definitely be there for you, when you need them, which is really important
100%.
as well.
Yeah.
And the other thing about, I guess, the online space is, as you mentioned in the first part of the podcast, we don't always get the opportunity to meet people in person. So what we do on the internet, on our websites, on our social profiles is really that first impression. And it's a lot harder sometimes, I think, to really bring across your personality and your passion and the things that you really love and believe in when it's just written in words on a flat piece of either, pages or technology or paper or what have you. So when someone meets you in person, you're picking up their vibrations, the energy bounces between each other. I know I'm a people person, so I really struggle with being confined, to my home and not being able to do in-person, meetings and catch-ups and things like that, because that's where I actually get my energy comes from other people's energy.
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure that that type of energy is translating through the digital footprint that we're creating online as well. Sometimes that can be really, really difficult because, as I said, it's just that flat medium. You're not really having it bounce, out at you as you would in person. But I guess that's where videos come in, and you've been able to confirm that with, as you said, your Instagram story. As soon as your audience saw your video and of you, it was that real connection. And I think that's such an important thing, and something I've learned as a small business owner is it's you, and you shouldn't stand just behind your product or your service. You really need to come to the forefront, because that's usually where connection is made with your audience.
Exactly.
Well.
Yeah,
I
100%.
Love it. Now we're jumping on to the naughty C word.
Yes,
which is,
there's a few of them at the moment. So, I mean, take your pick.
Take a pick. So the one that I'm talking about is COVID-19.
Yes.
Something that we've not ever gone through before in our businesses, in our personal lives. But I guess, have there been any changes that you've had to make to your business? And have these changes actually helped, or have they hindered you?
Okay. So I have a few things to say on this point.
Okay.
Firstly, like I mentioned, we were already in e-commerce. So not having a retail space that was really affected, we were kind of already on that level up, I suppose, by being online. I think as a consumer, it was just more people were now online. And then as a business owner, more people had to learn to be online.
Yes.
And I think for those that have managed to do so, kudos to you, because you've managed to pivot. We're going to use that word, but you've managed to pivot very, very quickly. And it amazes me to see how well a lot of other small businesses have managed to do so to keep their business going. They may not be going at 100 right now, but they're still going, which I think is amazing.
Yes.
For us, it was that local market kind of space that was affected. Obviously, markets can't be held at the moment. So we weren't able to have that face-to-face communication, I suppose, with our customers. And I suppose at a market, we would tend to offer different products to what our online store had. So we
that's
would kind of, so we have our gift box range, which is online, and we would also have that at markets. And then at our markets, we would also have a special of little gift bags as well. So
very cool.
which was a lot more in the space of, it was a nice, easy gift that you could just pick up and kind of walk away with and take it to mum or dad on your Sunday afternoon trip, or, you know, whatever it happened to be. So for us, we actually did a really quick run-of-the-mill photo shoot and added a whole bunch of these little gift bags to our website, so that we had that option available for people that are usually our regulars at these markets, that would be able to jump online and see that they could still get these littler options without having to go to a market. So that was kind of something different that we did, that never really was the plan for online, but, you know, we wanted to show those people that were, you know, part of our market tribe, so to speak.
Your family.
Like our market tribe, that we hadn't forgotten about them. You know, we couldn't go to our Sunday markets, but you could still come to us.
I love that.
Yeah. So it was like another option that we had there. But yeah, like I say, we're really lucky that we were already in the e-commerce space, and a lot of what our business is about is, you know, going back to that why of being there when you can't actually be there.
Yes.
Coronavirus kind of helped us in a way. And a lot of people are going to get annoyed that I've said that, but it has, you know, it's the part of, like, our gifting business is, you can't be there, but you can send your gift and you can share the love. And that's what we wanted to do from the very start.
Absolutely.
And we've found that gifts of being sent, you know, from, like, we're in Sydney, but we had gifts being ordered in person, like staying in Sydney or being ordered in Sydney and heading over to, like, Broome or, like, somewhere ridiculous, like, like super, like, all across the country. And it just, like, it gives me the warm and fuzzies inside, because that's why we are doing what we're doing. It just had to take, like, the world going a little bit crazy.
And a pandemic.
To kind of get there.
Well, and look, I'm certainly not offended by you saying that the dirty C word has helped you and helped your business, because it was the kick up the bottom that I absolutely needed to get this whole baby happening and working. So I'd looked into and planned, I've got it written down, you know, my Let's Get Visible podcast. I've got something else in the works, you know, around that at the moment as well. I wanted to launch my SEO space, which is my regular updates that I give, you know, to my tribe or the people who, you know, subscribe to me. And they're the things that I never actually took the time to do, because everything else was, you know, more important. And now, because of the naughty C word, you know, I'm about to launch the third thing that was on my to-do list for 2 years. So in total, all these things had been on there for 2 years, and I'd work on it and then walk away. I'd work on it and then walk away. And, you know, I've been busier more than ever since COVID, not necessarily because my clients have doubled or anything like that, but it's because I've taken the time to focus on working on my business rather than in my business. So had it not been for this pandemic, this podcast wouldn't have been launched, because my focus and my attention would have been on other things external to me. And it was time to go, you know what, you actually need to, pull that finger outdoors and sit down and make this stuff happen, because you actually owe it to yourself to do that. You know, you have spent so much time doing other things, helping and supporting other people, which is why I do what I do. That's my why. But at some point, you've got to go, okay, well, what is it that I want to do? What lights me up? What makes me happy? And for me, it's, you know, as I said to you, my energy comes from other people. So having these podcast catch-ups and sessions with, you know, guest people attending, they're the ones that I love. Like, I do solo ones where it's just me talking, but that's, you know, that to me, that the energy is very, very different to when you're having a real conversation. This is actually what small business is about. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. You go through so much stuff that, yes, there are, you know, books out there on how to run a business, but it's the life experiences that cannot be taught unless you're going through those experiences. So you can read as many books about, business and time management and structuring, this from an accounting perspective, and all of that, yes, absolutely is helpful.
Mhm.
But it's through the things that you experience and go through, the lessons that you learn, that actually help you to grow as that business owner. That doesn't necessarily mean scaling. Like, I have zero desire to have a team of 20 people or run an agency or anything like that. It's never been on the cards for me. I've
Okay.
always wanted that one-on-one contact with other small business owners or
Yep.
organizations. There's lots of amazing agencies out there that do a fantastic job, and they are there to support their people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily, my people. So when I talk about growth, I'm really talking about, diversifying, pivoting, expanding, whatever buzzword you'd like to use at the moment, but really having these different areas within your business, because yes, COVID, has hit. And if you are just a one-trick pony and you've only got one sort of stream, that's, really impacted a lot of businesses as well. And as you've said, many have gone, okay, well, maybe we are a physical, coffee shop, but now we're going to do online ordering, or we're going to add areas that we would not have even thought about had we not been in this particular situation. So it's giving businesses more opportunity, different channels and ways in which they can still offer their products and services, but it's also catering to the people who might not be able to actually leave the home every day. Not everyone has that luxury, and that is a luxury, to pop in your car and drive, here, there, and everywhere. Not everyone can actually do that. So I just
100%.
yes,
100%.
so
And I
many
really think
benefits.
that, I really hope that for all of the small businesses, and even if you're a large business as well, for all of the businesses that have managed to tweak the way that they do things, and they are now in a lot more of an online space, I really hope that if it's working for them now, that they continue to do so when everything goes back to quote unquote normal.
Yes.
Because I think as a business owner, if you've found a new thing that works, just because you think, okay, so the world's calming down, we can go back to quote unquote normal, that everything and all of our, procedures and things have to go that way as well. Not necessarily.
No.
If it's working for you, please keep it up, because you'll be surprised how many people will continue to be there and support you if you keep that way, that avenue to your business open.
Absolutely. And there won't be, I don't think, not one, person or one business that will come out of this on the other side unchanged or without some impact, whether that's a small, medium, or large size impact. They will definitely look back on this as a time when they've had to revisit processes and procedures that have, been working because of that physical presence, or because of just an online, presence that was very one way. And now looking at it and going, okay, well, we can do networking online. We can actually still, catch up and have these conversations, still support each other, still, use our products and services. I know a lot of my, workshops and things that I do in person, that I love doing in person, I've had to do them online. And it's a transition and a change. Yes, I'm used to using Zoom. I've used Zoom for probably close to 6 or 7 years of my business life, but I've also diversified and known that the in-person component is so important. But now I'm like, what, Dawes, you can actually still do these online. People are still getting the full, benefit and value. I know that you came to the masterclass.
I did, yes.
So you can definitely give me feedback on that and where I can improve. I'm always looking to improve. But yeah, it's great that we can still share all of our gifts and the things that we do and that, we do well in a different medium and in a different online space. So Absolutely. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Bianca, having you on the program today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. But
I have. It's been so fun.
oh, good. That was the goal. To share some little gold nuggets. But yes, very fun conversation, and hopefully it's helped spark a few ideas, a few thoughts for those that are listening as well. But if you'd like to get in touch with Bianca at Glowing Gifts, you can reach them at glowinggifts.com.au. What I'll also do is I'll pop on the website their social media links and profiles. So if you want to connect on there, absolutely, I recommend you do. There'll be lots of conversations about tacos, nachos, and Mexican food that you can join us on having those conversations online. You can also join the Glowing Gifts family by making sure you register for their regular updates. And again, I'll pop a link underneath the podcast details to let you know how you can join up to their newsletter. But thanks again for making time, Bianca, to spend it with me and our audience today. And again, excited to keep up our Mexican and nacho chats going on Instagram.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me, Jules. I've had a great time.
Awesome. Thanks, Bianca.
All right. Thanks, Jules. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening today and making time to tune in. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please leave a review and some feedback. If you'd like to learn more about me or my services, you can find me at doreenbrown.com.au with links to social profiles so you can connect with me on there as well. Well, that's it from me today. So see you next time for the next installment of Let's Get Visible.